Thank you. Renee, I mean, in many respects, a lot of people know your work, or think about you as African American because you grew up in the States as well. But I mean, obviously, many of the figures that you inhabit, the Queen Nanny of the Maroons, etc., and others are Jamaican. How do you negotiate that in your work in terms of the Caribbean? I mean, is that something that is always central to your work, or is that part of a wider iconography?
I mean, it's me, and I grew up with this thing on. Do you guys hear me? Okay. No, Quasi? Okay. No, I grew up with very strong Jamaican parents. I mean, maybe sometimes a little too strong, because they would make that differentiation between we Jamaicans and African Americans. And then I'd have to kind of school my parents on the trajectory of what that situation was. And that, as you all know, when you go to Jamaica, you're dealing with black people. You want the dentist, he's black. You want this one, they're black. In the United States, it was much different, how slavery was enforced and whatnot. So that's like the first thing that I'm always very conscious of, because I don't feel any sort of division between the two of us. But growing up, sometimes, I mean, I'm embarrassed to say, like my parents, we'd drive through Harlem and my father would be like, roll up the windows and lock the doors. You know, like, what are these people doing on the street? And I was like, God damn, it's like being with the Klan, you know, and you're black, like, you're Jamaican. So I never saw things from that perspective, but at the same time, my parents sent me to boarding school in Jamaica when I was 10 years old. So I had that experience as well. And that's where I got to learn a lot about the history. In particular, Queen Nanny was somebody that touched my soul. And when I became an artist, it was one of my early bodies of work. I went down there. I spent 2 years going back and forth to develop that whole story around her and to let people become aware of her, and that she is one of our only female national heroes in Jamaica. So there was always that aspect. Then I created a superhero character for myself named Rajay. Originally her name was Rage, but again I was like, oh, let me lighten it up a little bit for them. Because I was like, Rajay, I can see a cologne, a perfume named Rajay. Kind of like Stranger, for those who remember that film. And I wanted her to represent the Pan-African colors in her, attire. I kind of based it on Wonder Woman. So I said that my character hailed from Paradise Island, and it was one of the, original Amazons. But my mission was to get rid of all the sort of stereotypes and racism and prejudice that exists in this world. So I sent Rajay out to do that. In fact, she was the one who liberated Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben from their boxes, way before they actually did that in 2020, because that work is from '98. So I think I've been a little bit ahead of the game. I've been a little bit ahead of myself, which is, it's a blessing and a curse, because then it takes people 20 years to catch up to what you're doing, and then you've already done new work, and then, they don't get the new work because they want to look at the old work, and so it's sort of a catch-22. But to just wrap up that question, I mean, Jamaica and the Caribbean has always been a vital force within me, within my blood. And it's something that I've always wanted to bring to the forefront. And even within my practice now, I've opened up another aspect of it in terms of cooking. So it's like I've held in Mexico, I currently live in Mexico City, and I recently did a ackee and saltfish, I don't know what you would call it, pop-up, with banana fritter ice cream sandwiches,
which now I'm saying, okay, when the next show that I do, I'm gonna have this cooking aspect in there, because cooking touches people's hearts. And I think that's a really important thing to do in terms of when you're trying to sort of change people's minds. You kind of get them in the stomach, and then they kind of open up, and it becomes like a sort of spiritual thing too, because over the years, it's hard being an artist, I'm not gonna lie. You know, these people will drive you insane if you let them, but I had to learn how to become happy and how to get out of my head and not let that little voice in my head keep telling me all these little negative things, and to rid myself of that. And now I can say, I'm very cool, and I'm enjoying. And as you all should, you should enjoy.
Mm-hmm.